Luke's Gospel, chapter number 22, verse number 35 through verse number 38. Again, that's Luke's Gospel, chapter number 22, verse number 35 through verse number 38. And then we want to go to Matthew 26, verse number 51 through verse number 56. That's Matthew 26, verse number 51 through verse number 56. We'll first look at Luke's Gospel, chapter 22, and verse number 35. Before we read, look this way. In Luke 22 and verse 35 is a very, very deep and controversial passage of Scripture. So much so that even the men of God, we have to study over and over again because of the words that we find from the Master. And then we turn over to another page and it seems as if though Jesus has contradicted himself. Contradiction is nowhere in the Bible. It's in the hearts of men who is trying to find out what's going on. In the book of Luke, you're going to read where Jesus is going to mention a sword, a physical sword. When we go over to Matthew 26, you're going to find that Peter used a sword. As a matter of fact, we could stay in Luke and just go down a little further in Luke and you will find the same story. But I like the way Matthew tells the story. And that's why we're going to go to Matthew 26 in just a moment. I'm trying to give us heads up on where we're headed. During the days of Christ, the Palestinians and the Jews and many other people back in those days were accustomed to wearing or having a knife or a sword. Times were like today, they were dangerous back in those times. The Jericho Road, where the man was found half dead. You had crooks and criminals even in the biblical times. And so it was nothing new for a man to have a small sword on his side and so forth and so on. But the thing is, am I to use this sword to defend myself or to use it to defend Jesus Christ? You also got to understand that the disciples had a hard time understanding some of the words that came from his mouth. One occasion, the disciples simply said, Lord, speak to us plainly, because the parables were hard for them to comprehend. And this is where we're going to find ourselves here. They were mesmerized by what he said, and then he just cut them off at the end. And then we're going to go and show a picture where Peter took a sword and cut a man's ear off. So we got to find out today, what is Jesus actually saying to us? Listen to Luke's Gospel, chapter number 22, verse number 35. And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, he said, lack ye anything? And they said, nothing. Then said he unto them, but now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip, and he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. And then he says, for I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me they have an end. I get this. They said, Lord, behold, here are two swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. Right? Yep. I'm glad you're silent.
Come on, teach it.
How did he mean that? Was there irony in his voice? Or was he saying that these two swords are enough? You got 11 apostles with him, not counting Judas, because Judas betrayed him.
Right.
So he's already a misfit, and he's already outside of his connect with Christ and the apostles. So then he gets two swords and says, it is enough. But how can two swords come against an army? Or you got 11 men there. So if you do the math properly, then you need 9 more swords.
Right.
Or is it deeper?
Right. Deeper.
Did he mean y'all just don't get it? It's enough. Was he being a little sarcastic? Because if it's going to be fulfilled through me, it's got to be spiritual.
That's right. Come on.
But you're so carnal in your thinking.
Come on.
That's why many people thought the kingdom was going to be established during their lifetime. He had to tell them, my kingdom is not of this world.
Right.
And oftentimes when you're so worldly minded, you can't understand spiritual things. It is enough. Because I do know this. If he meant that literally, then you still need 9 more swords. And if your kingdom is not of this earth, why do your men need to be strapped anyway? Can we go deeper? Can we go deeper? Hold on to Luke, but flip over to Matthew to show you what happened. And you can find this same story in the book of Luke if you keep reading. But I like the way Matthew tells this story, this event. Now, here they've come to arrest Jesus. And keep in mind that 2 swords were mentioned in Luke. Can you say amen? Amen. So then he says in verse 51 of Matthew 26, and behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. And then said Jesus unto him, put up again thy sword into his place. For all that, get this, all they that take the sword shall do what? Shall perish with the sword. He says, now thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father? And he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled? That thus it must be. In the same hour said Jesus to the multitudes, are ye come out against me, against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and ye laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Now go back to Luke 22 and verse 35. Here's the question. When I sent you without a purse, a script, and shoes, lacked you anything? And they said nothing. Look this way. This is going to get good in a minute. When I told you all to go out, which this is what it's called, and I wish this is not a Bible class, but I still have to teach, and I want to teach you something. That you have what is called the limited commission, and you have what is called the Great Commission. The limited commission was that the gospel would first be taught to the Jews first, after which then all of mankind would be able to embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ. In the limited commission, They were told to go out. Basically, don't take your wallet, don't take no credit card, don't take no purse, and don't worry about your shoes. Just go out there and do what I tell you to do. He asked him, he says, now, did anybody lack anything? He said, no. Because you serve a God that can do what? Take care of all, not some, all of our needs. Before God can introduce you to spiritual things, He will handle your carnal situation.
Come on now.
If I can handle your pocketbook, and you went out there on my command and you lack nothing, watch what he says. It's gonna get better. Then said he unto them, but now he that hath a purse, let him take it. You didn't have a purse at one time, you got it now, and likewise his scrip, and he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me, and he was reckoned among the transgressors. For the things concerning me have an end. They said, Lord, behold, there are two swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. Turn to somebody like you're mad at them and say, neighbor, hopefully, one day, you will get it. I want to just talk about for a few minutes. Is it possible that God is frustrated with us? Because you ain't got it yet.
That's right.
He takes them from the natural, introducing the spiritual. He tells them, now listen, there was a time you didn't have nothing.
Come on now. Oh yeah.
But I was in your life.
Yes.
Did I not bless you last year when you were in the hospital? And here you now in church? Oh, I ain't gonna be long. It's gonna be. Was I not with you when you went through divorce? And you still kept your house? Do you remember the time you got evicted, but you wasn't out 2 weeks and I gave you another place? Now, since you done got yourself together, take what you got and you're gonna do three things. Take it, sell it, and buy it. In church, if I can show you these three things, hopefully one day you're going to get it. Turn to somebody and say, I want it. Well, this is what you got to understand. Jesus was never talking about go and get yourself a real blade. He's trying to show you something that's going to come a time, because I'm getting ready to do a couple of things. One, I'm about to get arrested. Two, I'm about to die on the cross. Then I've got to be resurrected, and then I must go back to the Father. You are going to have some days that I'm not going to be physically with you. Now, if you remember you were with me when I turned the water into wine, you remember when you caught a little fish and I multiplied the fish and the bread? It's going to come a day and a time you're going to say, what has gone wrong? But if you remember what I did for you back then, remember what's going to happen right now. Dry your eyes and know that if you didn't have a purse, at least you got one now. But if you think I want you to take a knife and hurt somebody, you got the wrong king, you're in the wrong business, and you got the wrong understanding. What is your problem? The problem is you haven't gotten it yet. Still trying to fight people and curse people. You don't know who you messing with. When you a child of God, you ain't got to say nothing. Say, I'm going to pray for you and go on about your business, baby. He will supply all of my needs. And he says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I can go to bed at night because I know he has my back. He watches over me. It seems like the Lord was like, you know what? I'm just sick of talking to you.
Come on, right.
You don't get it. And I pray this holiday season, the real gift that you get
Come on.
It's understanding. I don't need no Rolex watch. I don't need another tie. I don't need a suit. Just give me understanding. Oh, watch how powerful this is. Watch how powerful this is. Now you're going to leave out of here. This scripture will never, ever bother you again, because I understand what he was doing. He has to let them know there was a time when I used you, you didn't have anything. But you didn't lack anything. But as you kept walking with me, you started to gain some stuff. Now look at you now. Look what the Lord has blessed you with now. Now, if you really want to understand what you're going to have to do now, is 3 things. Take it, sell it, and invest in it. Y'all understand? I said, buy it, invest in it. Somebody says, I don't see that. Well, let's look at the Bible. There was a man who was looking for treasure. And when he found a certain treasure, he said to himself, there's got to be more here than this. He left, went back, sold what he had, and came back and bought the entire field. There was a man looking for pearls of a great price. When he found the one that he's been looking for all this time, he took what he had and sold to buy it. Because let me tell you something, when you come to Jesus, there's some stuff you got to take, some stuff you're going to have to sell, and some stuff you're going to have to buy. Oh my God. Investing in. Can we have church right now? Somebody says, I ain't got to take nothing. Yes, you do. If you're going to be a child of God, there's going to be some stuff you got to take whether you like it or not. You got to take some people's nasty attitude. You got to take some folk talking about you. You got to take people going against your family, messing with your man, trying to take your wife. You got to don't touch it. I ain't got to take. Yes, you do. If Jesus took it, you and I got to take it. There are some people going to spit in your face, not literally, but they're going to curse your name and talk about you behind closed doors, put you on three-way calls and got somebody on the other end you don't even know that's listening to the conversation. You got to look at somebody and say, take it. Oh, I know it hurts, but you got to take it. Take the criticism, take the laughter, take those who are trying to talk, just take it. Man, we can stay on take it all day long. So a whole lot of stuff I wish I didn't have to take, but guess what? If he took it, I have to take it. Tell you something else too. You're gonna walk with him. There's some stuff you got to get rid of. See, that's what he was talking about, was selling. How much is he worth to you to get rid of some dead weight in your life? Boy, if the rings and watches at the pawn shop can talk. You know, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but you know what? When you get in bad shape, you start thinking about stuff to get rid of. Oh, yeah. You know what? And then they dog you at the pawn shop. They really dog you there. You know that ring costs over $6,000. We're going to give you $60 for it. Now you fight between $6,000 and then $60, but you ain't got a dime in your pocket. Then they cut you a shady deal whereby you get the ring back. You didn't pay $600 for it. When you get desperate for God, He will get rid of some stuff. As a matter of fact, if anything is coming in between you and God, that needs to get out of your life. If anything is causing you to be backslidden and not want to move forward, whatever, you need to sell that stuff. Get rid of it. It's dead weight. And isn't it funny, as you get older, certain things don't hold the value the way they used to? All right.
I want me a nice big bed so I can watch my movies and enjoy my life.
Man, let me tell you something, sister. I just won't sleep at night. And there's nothing wrong with having a nice big bed and art van, where you get it from. Sleep. But let me tell you something, you can have a nice bed and still can't sleep.
That's right.
No, you can buy sleep, but you can't buy rest.
That's right.
So there are pills that can make you go to sleep, but only God can give you rest. Amen. And then he says now, then if you really want to understand what I'm talking about, those of you who you don't have a sword, you need to not only sell what you got, then you need to go buy it. And they gave him 2 physical swords. Now if you flip that, I think about the story of the virgins. And half of them had oil. Y'all study the Bible? Let's stop trying to preach to y'all and teach y'all. Y'all looking at me. Don't you read the Bible? You had some virgins who had oil, and some of them had spent the oil, and so when the bridegroom came, those that didn't have it wanted it from those who did. They said, "No, go get your own." Some people want your stuff, but they don't want to go through what you did to have. Get this. He says now, they said, well, we got 2 swords right here. He said, that's enough. I'm done. Class is over with. Dismissed. Hopefully one day you get it. It's sad when you got a house full of Christians, but ain't but 2 swords in here. See, you know what? Can I go deeper? I'm closing. Spiritually, that sword is this.
That's the word.
And if you're not skilled in this, you empty-handed. There's no contradiction with Matthew.
That's right.
Well, the Lord told us we're going to buy some swords. That's not what I was saying to you. You did not hear it because you're still worldly minded. And there's nothing more frustrating than to talk to somebody who can tell you everything happening in the news, but can't tell you nothing happening in this book. Sad when a church come together. I don't care if 400, 500, 1,000. If you just 50. When you got a bunch of folk coming to church every Sunday, and there's only 2 swords in the midst. That's why we prayed for the men earlier today and the boys, because God is looking for men still.
That's right.
He's not looking for men who's trying to make up their mind if he's a man or a woman. He's not looking for a flippity kind of man. He's looking for real men who want to dedicate their life to him. Let me tell you something right now for these holidays. Quit letting these so-called holiday blues get under your skin. Just be thankful you saw another day. And let me tell you something. Christmas is not the only time you can give. When you are a person who naturally gives, Christmas don't mean nothing. That's not a disrespect for a man who have acknowledged his birth. But no, when you are a giver, that's what I do.
That's right.
So had they heard him properly, all he was saying to them is this: there was a time I was in your life and told you to go, and don't worry about nothing. And did I not keep my promise? Now I'm about to leave. You got a purse now. You out the hospital now. You don't get out of jail now.
Lord, have mercy.
See, the thing now, you see, you don't accumulated some things now.
Yes. Got it.
So now this is about to go spiritual.
Come on.
If you really want to get to me and close to me, there's some stuff you're gonna have to take.
Yes.
There's some stuff you're gonna have to sell.
Yeah. Lord.
And there's some things you're gonna have to buy
Yes.
in order to have the sword of my spirit in your life.
Amen.